Hi everybody, and welcome to this XLH video on the Excel feature names, or as they are sometimes referred to, named ranges. In this video I'm going to explain to you what names are, how to create them, and provide you with a couple of examples using Excel formulas. Okay, what is a name? A name, at least in Excel terms anyway, is some kind of logical string that refers to a range of cells. What do we mean by this? Well, if I click on this worksheet here, you can see I've got the months of the year. If I highlight this months of the year, A1 down to A12, this is a range of cells. And if I wanted to turn this into a name, I'll go up here onto the formula bar, and on the left hand side you see the name box, and I type in here months of the year. I'm not the quickest typer, and click enter, and that's it. We've created an Excel name. Now this name can now be referenced from anywhere in Excel in the same way as you would reference a range of cells. But this time you can use the words months of the year, which is often makes more sense to the person that's trying to write the formulas. Now you might have noticed I've wrote this in a strange way. There are some reasons for this. When you're creating your names in Excel, you have some rules that you have to remember. The first one being that you can't use any spaces in the name. So you can do what I've done here and use something called camel case, and that means type each word in uppercase. The beginning of each word, should I say. You could put an underscore between each word or a period. But basically you can't use spaces. A couple of other things to remember is that the name has to be no more than 255 characters, which I think in most instances is probably going to be enough, and that the names aren't case sensitive. That means that Excel will see the names of the month in uppercase and months of the year in uppercase and months of the year in lowercase as exactly the same thing. Okay, let's jump in and get a couple of real world examples. Let's start with this worksheet here, which I created earlier. This is a list of sales data for some computing devices, as you can see. We've got 4 columns. The first column is month, and then the second, third and fourth column are for laptops, tablets and desktops with some associated sales information for each of the months. So if we want to turn this into a name, like we did before, we would highlight cell A1 across to D13. And in here we'll give it some kind of name that makes sense, so we'll call it sales data. And we click enter, just like we did before. Now, if we click away from the cell, we want to check that Excel has taken the name we've given it and then re-highlight the cells. When we highlight them all and let go, there we go, we've got sales data. So how can we use this? Let's create a couple of examples. And the first example we're going to do is going to use the VLOOKUP formula. So let's click a new worksheet, and in cell B1 we're going to type the formula equals VLOOKUP, and you'll see there that VLOOKUP appears from a drop down for us to choose. Open bracket or parentheses, depending on what your terminology is. And the first attribute is the lookup value that we want to use. I'm going to type this into a cell afterwards, so I'm going to type the reference to that cell, and that's going to be A1. And then this is where I'm going to use the name I've just created. Now in this function there's an area here called an attribute called table array, and this is where I'm going to use this names feature. So if I start typing sales as if I'm going to type sales data, you'll see it here become available from a drop down. Click on that, and there you go. The next attribute is the column index. So this is the column of data that we want to find. So in this instance, I think column 2 in our table was laptop, so I'm going to put column 2. The first column is the month, so this is the column we're looking in. And the final attribute is going to be false. Never understand why we use the word false when we want to find an exact match, but anyway, false it is. Close the brackets and click enter. Now we've got hash NA, and obviously The reason why we've got hash NA is because the VLOOKUP formula is looking for a value in cell A1 right now, and we haven't got one. So let's type something in there. We're going to type the month, a month of the year. So let's type in March and click enter. Now we've got $2,500. What does that mean? Well, for March, VLOOKUP is going to look in the sales data in column 2 and bring back the sales value for March. So if we just flick back to our table here, column 2, March, $2,500. And there you go. If we want to type in a different month, then let's just type in June and click enter. $7,000. Go back to our table, June, $7,000 for laptops. And that's a very, very simple example of how this can be used. We could also use it in a slightly more complex manner. Let's just tidy this example up a little bit. So let's stick a row in with some headers. Let's put in here months, and then laptops, and then I think it was tablets, and then desktops. Okay. Right. Let's make that look a little bit better. Add a little bit of formatting. This is a method that I like to use. I like to have headings to have black backgrounds for headings and then white text. I just think it separates them from the actual information. And then we're going to take this function. I'm going to put a $sign in front of the A2 to lock it onto column A. And then I'm going to drag this column across. By putting that $sign in, it means that when I drag it across, it won't move away from column A. Okay. Now for tablets, we want to use column 3, so we'll change this to 3. And for desktops, we want to use column 4. Now that's the only thing that I've changed in these functions, these formulas, is the attribute which refers to the column index for the lookup. The sales data range has remained the same. We haven't needed to do anything with it. So if we look for June, we should have 17,000, 14,000, and 3,500. Let's go back to our table. 7,000, 14,000, 3,500. So we go back here again, type in a different month. Let's go back to March again. 2,500, 5,000, and 1,250. We'll just double check that. With March, 2,500, 5,000, 1,250. There you go. That's a couple of examples how you can use a name feature in the VLOOKUP function. Thank you.